This was Palestinian bodybuilder Moazzaz Abayat before he spent 9 months in Israeli custody. And this is after. Abayat couldn't walk unaided after being released from incarceration in July. Then, in an October raid on his home, he was detained again. Before being rearrested, the 37-year-old father of 5 was diagnosed with severe PTSD by Bethlehem Psychiatric Hospital. Medical notes from the clinic in the occupied West Bank say his condition relates to his time at Israel's remote Ketziot prison. The notes state that Abayat was subjected to, quote, physical and psychological violence and torture in prison, and describe symptoms like severe anxiety, withdrawal from his family, and avoidance of discussion of traumatic events. Abayat spoke to Reuters from a hospital bed in July.
الحياة في السجن منذ 7 أكتوبر.
Life in jail since October 7th is a life that no human on earth can imagine in general, especially in the prison of Negev, which is like Guantanamo. It is like a prison in the Negev desert down in the bottom of Palestine on the map. This prison is isolated from the world. They act in the most disgusting and tough torture on earth against isolated detainees, handcuffed, hungry, and ill.
Alleged abuses and psychological harm in Israeli prisons and camps are in renewed focus, as efforts by international mediators to secure a ceasefire ramped up in December. Any pause in fighting between Israel and Palestinian group Hamas in Gaza could see the release of thousands of inmates detained during the war and before, in return for Israeli hostages. For this story, Reuters spoke to 4 Palestinian men detained by Israel since the war's outbreak after the Hamas attacks of October 7th, 2023. All were held for months, accused of affiliating with an illegal organisation and released without being formally charged or convicted of any crime. They describe lasting psychological scars due to abuses including beatings, sleep and food deprivation, and prolonged restraint in stress positions. But their accounts are consistent with multiple probes by human rights groups that report grave abuses of Palestinians in Israeli detention. Israel is currently investigating what the UN calls a, quote, particularly gruesome case of alleged sexual abuse at the country's Sedi Teman military detention camp. 5 soldiers are accused of anally penetrating a detainee with a rod that punctured his internal organs. Earlier this year, Israeli rights group B'Tselem released a report accusing Israel of deliberately turning the prison system into a, quote, network of torture camps, after collating evidence and testimony from 55 former Palestinian prisoners. Saret Mikaeli is the group's spokeswoman.
So the people we interviewed for the report have actually been released recently. So clearly Israel does not accuse them of anything, yet they still experience the same kind of systemic abuse and torture that all Palestinian prisoners experience now throughout all of Israel's detention system.